Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today's video is going to be awesome because to my right, I've got a 396 cubic inch V8 that was designed and built by Blueprint Engines. Now I bought this thing locally, secondhand if you will. It was bought for somebody else's project that unfortunately never came to completion. It was a pretty decent deal. This is a wicked sweet motor, so I jumped at the chance to have it around the shop for potential use in the future. That's to be determined. But this particular video is what I'm especially excited about because I've had this idea in my head for quite a while, and finally all of the pieces of the puzzle have fallen into place. So let me give you an outline of what to expect in this video. First off, let's cover some of the basics of the motor itself. If you'd like to check out more in-depth specifications, I've got a link to Blueprint's website down in the description below. Now this thing is designed around the classic GM small block architecture. So you have a large internal displacement in a relatively compact package. So obviously small block V8s are very easy to swap into all sorts of things, and this will bolt right in place of an existing small block if you just wanted a significantly more powerful setup, which is really cool. So the block is not a GM block that was bored and modified accordingly. This is a new cast iron Blueprint block that was manufactured and machined right here in the United States. And this particular motor has so much stuff going on inside of it. It has a true 4-inch bore and a 3.875-inch stroke, which is where the 396 cubic inch displacement comes from. There's a complete forged rotating assembly, 4-bolt main, 1-piece rear main seal, a beefy hydraulic roller cam setup, aluminum cylinder heads, 10.4-to-1 compression, so on and so forth. Like, this thing is built for power. And the other really cool thing is that with each of Blueprint's engines, they actually run them on a dyno and give you a printout so you know how much power and torque your motor is capable of producing. This particular one was dynoed at like 524 horsepower and 532 pound-feet of torque. The motor itself sat around for a while because obviously the project it was meant for didn't happen. You could tell it's been test fitted and stuff, so it doesn't really look the greatest, but I want the external sweetness to match the internal sweetness. So I'm gonna make this thing look really nice. As far as the fuel system, I'm going to do something a little bit different to extract every pony this thing is capable of making. Instead of doing a carbureted application, which there is a mechanical fuel pump provision on this motor, or doing some type of Holley sniper system, which I've done in the past, I'm still going to do Holley fuel injection, but it's going to be a multi-port fuel injection system. So I'll talk about that more later in the video as well. I'm going to split this little project up into two different parts because there's so many cool things that I want to share with you guys, and I don't want this video to end up being like an hour long. So this video is going to primarily focus on getting the motor refreshed and put together, as well as mounting it to my new engine run stand. I ordered this turnkey run stand package from Easy Run Engine Test Stands, and it's finally come in. I'm super excited to put this thing together, as well as, get the motor mounted to it. In the second part, I'll dive more in depth into the small block Chevy multi-port fuel injection system that I'm using, as well as wire up the universal Holley Terminator X Max PCM and wiring harness. So, like I said, there's a whole lot of stuff to cover. I'll keep you guys up to date on when to expect part 2. I'd also like to extend a huge thanks to O'Reilly Auto Parts, Duplicolor, Scott Home & Auto, Holley Performance Products, and Jet Hot High Performance Coatings for supporting the channel. I've got all of these links down in the description, so check those out and be sure to support the brands that support the channel. It really means a lot. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Unfortunately, this nice polished cast aluminum pan that I had reserved for this motor does not fit. It hits the windage tray in the front. The stamped steel pan that was on the motor had a little bit of extra clearance at the front, so not a big deal. I actually have another oil pan on order that's raw steel. I'll prep it and paint it along with the block so everything will match. So it's still gonna look good, but I have to wait for that other pan to come in. Thankfully, the run stand arrived, so let's switch directions and get that thing put together. Now for the moment of truth. Comes with a couple of these little red keys, goes into the master power, push in and turn it. All of the gauges light up. You can engage the starter solenoid here. And then you've got your various switches for coil power, fuel pump, or some other auxiliary electrical connection, and of course your fan. Which that thing seems to put out a whole lot of air. Of course, tachometer front and center. This is a really sweet setup. Now that the run stand is pretty much finished, I'm going to install a permanent fuel injection system on it. So no matter if I wanted a little electric assistance to use with a carbureted setup or any other fuel injection setup, even LS-based motors, I'll be able to configure all of that without too much difficulty. I'm going to end up using this universal EFI kit from Earl's. It's available through Holley. It comes with plenty of rubber hose, a fuel pump, pre and post filters, and all sorts of fittings. I'll also be installing a bypass fuel pressure regulator kit. So again, no matter what kind of EFI system that I'm going to be running, or if I'm going to just have the assistance for a carburetor, I can ramp up or throttle back the fuel pressure accordingly, check it on a gauge. So it's going to be a really versatile setup. Installing all of the EFI stuff was honestly really simple. One thing that I really like about this run stand is that it's extremely versatile. Pending you have the right motor mount adapters, you can mount pretty much any motor to this with or without a transmission, reposition things as necessary, and there's a lot of accessories available so you can truly custom tailor it to how you're going to be using it the most. For example, I opted for the optional accessory tower, which has like a drink holder, a tray, and like a little mounting bracket. I actually mounted my fuel pressure regulator to the mounting bracket. It's up nice and high, I can keep an eye on the pressures, and it will be nothing to connect the regulator to whatever fuel system is on the motor that's on the stand. I think I've got all this set up pretty good. Everything is as far away from high heat sources as possible, which is obviously really important. I ended up relocating the fuel tank to outside the front frame rail beneath the radiator, and I modified the fuel tank to accept a return fitting using a 6AN bulkhead adapter. All of the fuel lines are 3/8 high pressure rated fuel injection hose. The fuel pump is also located on the front frame rail, and I've got pre and post filters, 10 micron and 100 micron respectively. The fuel filters can be disassembled and cleaned and reused, which is going to be really nice for the long term. And I'll end up tying into the run stand's harness with the fuel pump so I can control it off of the main control panel. All in all, it turned out really good. I could not be happier, and I cannot wait to use this for the first time. I also went ahead and plumbed up the coolant overflow jug and, the drain petcock and stuff. So all of the stuff in the front of the run stand is now complete. For refinishing this engine, I'll be going more traditional, using Chevy Orange Red for the block and oil pan. I'm going to clear coat the aluminum water pump and intake manifold to preserve their natural look and make them easier to wipe off and clean if necessary. The aluminum heads will be left natural. Duplicolor's engine enamel with ceramic is formulated for high temperature and high performance applications. The ceramic resins offer protection from excessive heat and automotive fluids. The paint can withstand intermittent temperatures up to 500 degrees and is resistant to both oil and gas. With the proper prep work, you'll have a final finish that won't blister, flake, crack, or peel. I love how the engine enamel sprays and lays out. It has a great consistency and has been my go-to for quite a while now, even for some non-engine related parts. Plus, there's a wide variety of universal and OEM matched colors to choose from, in addition to primer, clear coat, and paint that mimics the natural look of aluminum. Everything that's getting painted orange-red on this engine will be getting the full 3-step process of primer, paint, and clear. First, you want to prepare the surface you're painting by removing dirt, wax, and grease, then scuff up the surface for maximum adhesion. You obviously want the surface as clean as possible, but you're also creating a mechanical bond for the paint. This is going to be the most time-consuming part, especially if you're working with an older, dirty engine. But the more time you spend on your prep work, the better the end results. Duplicolor also offers a full lineup of cleaning products, from wax and grease remover and acetone to both water and solvent-borne cleaners. After you're done with your cleaning, you're going to want to mask off the surrounding areas you don't want painted to guard against overspray. The best conditions for painting are going to be between temperatures of 60 degrees and 95 degrees with humidity less than 60%. Also, don't apply the paint in direct sunlight because it will negatively affect the curing process. Before applying, shake the can for at least a minute so the mixing ball inside can properly stir things up. You also want to shake the can for 10 seconds after each minute of use. To spray, hold the can parallel and about 8 to 10 inches from the surface you're painting, using an even, sweeping motion. Apply 2 light coats followed by 1 medium wet coat. You want to allow for about 10 minutes of flash time between coats and have all coats applied within an hour. The paint dries to the touch in an hour and can be handled in 3 hours. One helpful tip, after each coat, invert the can and spray till you see a clear gas coming out. It only takes a couple seconds. This cleans the nozzle and guards against clogs. With the painting now complete, it's time to move towards assembly so I can get this thing mounted to the run stand. Fortunately, I had a set of Hooker Competition stainless steel long tube headers lying around that were perfect for this project. Being that I'll likely hold on to them for future use, I elected to have them coated in Jet Hot's 2K flame sprayed thermal barrier ceramic coating. I've used Jet Hot's standard classic polish and titanium ceramic coatings in the past with my Monte Carlo, Chevelle, and S10 builds, and I've been a fan of them for quite some time. In general, Jet Hot's coatings are meant primarily for heat insulating. Their coated headers will radiate significantly less heat when compared to a bare metal header. For over 35 years now, Jet Hot has earned a reputation as being the go-to company for exhaust and engine coatings. They offer different coatings depending on the application and what temperatures you're expected to see. The coatings can be applied to most internal and external surfaces to improve the life of the part and overall performance. They also offer a wide range of intermixable colors that have been developed to provide expanded options to suit any build or restoration. This goes for any of Jet Hot's coatings. These headers have more of a silvery hue to them, which is their standard finish for this specific coating. Jet Hot's 2K coating features a blend of full ceramic oxides that provide an insulate barrier. The coating also provides excellent corrosion protection from both salt spray and chemical attack. The 2K coating is typically used in applications where traditional ceramic metallic hybrid coating will not survive, such as forced induction applications like hot side of turbochargers and downpipes, where it's not uncommon to see exhaust temperatures well above 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. Lower temperature applications can also benefit from this coating and help future-proof your setup if you ever thought about boosting your engine down the line. The only real drawback, depending on what kind of look you're going for, is the surface appearance. It's rough textured, which is typical of a flame-sprayed product. In my opinion, they look awesome in person and should serve quite well for run stand duty. I'm excited to say that this thing is now complete with the exception of the final wiring. I'm still waiting on my Terminator X PCM and wiring harness, which is why I've got that part 2 coming. So I've actually got everything hooked up right now to where I can power on the run stand and roll the motor over, but it still needs all of the other wiring so I can actually start it up. But this thing turned out really good. It's like the showpiece sitting in the middle of the shop right now. I know it's going to be awesome hearing this thing fire up, but at least being able to roll it over for the moment is still pretty cool. All right. Of course, I'll keep you guys up to date on when to expect part 2. I'll get this thing wired up and go more in depth into the Terminator X Max system. I'll also dive more in depth into the multi-port fuel injection system in case anybody was curious. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially hearing this thing fire up. Having this little throttle lever right here will actually be able to control the revs and whatnot. It's just such a sweet package. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to leave a like down below because it really helps the videos a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so. And make sure those notifications are turned on because you don't want to miss out on all of the videos that I have planned. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.